Can I start right now? Okay, welcome everyone to International Internship University session. International Internship University is a leading virtual education system and a global brand confederation, which is the most valuable and trusted worldwide and well reputed in delivering innovative programs. Globally, it is a trusted name for quality training programs and is committed to providing better and virtual education to all the young learners of the globe. In the short span of time, IIU has spread its wings in 195 countries and 6 continents under the strong leadership of its visionary founder, Mr. Pius Pandit sir, a committed and inspiring social activist, a passionate educationist from the last 2 decades, providing educations to students from various social and cultural backgrounds. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all people who are watching us right now. My name is Herdiana Nurfika from Indonesia. First of all, I'd love to express my gratitude to International Internship University for having me on this session. So today I'm going to talk about uncover emotional intelligence. Now I'm going to share my screen. Okay, first of all, I'd love to introduce myself. I'm from Indonesia, as I have mentioned, and I'm a certified LP master practitioner, trainer, emotional intelligence, certified life coach, certified sound wave healing therapy practitioner, certified meditation teacher, and certified boundaries and energy healing as well. So what is actually emotional intelligence? I know that some people may have known it, but in case you might need to remind yourself about it, it's about a term that has been used to describe the ability of someone to manage and understand their own emotions as well as emotions of others. So it's not only about recognizing your own feelings, but also those people who are interacting and connecting with you. So emotional intelligence is not a new concept. So Sigmund Freud was one of the first scientists to discuss this topic in depth and describing those with a high level of EI as having this following qualities. First, they can analyze their own feelings in order to effectively handle them. Second, they are sensitive to emotions in themselves and others, but this one is in a good manner. It's not something so much really sensitive and get freaked out all the times. Third is they are able to identify what they need and express that clearly. Imagine you know what you're feeling and you cannot express it. So those people who got a high level of EI, they can feel what they feel and they can express it clearly to those people who need to hear that. And the last one is they are able to communicate that well with others. So what happened this day is that we can feel, okay, I'm feeling sad, for example, but we actually cannot express what we are feeling to another person, or even once we can express it, we might sometimes happen like we are not able to communicate until those person who might get the words from us maybe think like, okay, we are being too sensitive or too much. That's something that people with high level of emotional intelligence can actually deal with it easily. So why is it important for having a high EI? Let's see on the slide first. Those people with low emotional intelligence, they are aggressive, demanding, egotistical, bossy, and confrontational. And on the other hand, those people with high emotional intelligence, they are assertive, ambitious, driving, strong-willed, and decisive. And those people with low emotional intelligence, they are easily distracted, glib, selfish, poor listener, and even impulsive. But on the other hand, those people with high emotional intelligence, they're warm, enthusiastic, sociable, charming, and persuasive. So those people on low emotional intelligence also resistant to change because maybe they feel like they are enough, or they think that, okay, I'm the best at the other thing that they want to do. And they also passive and responsive, slow and stubborn as well. But on the other hand, those people with high emotional intelligence, they are patient, stable, predictable, consistent, and also a good listener. This is the major things that you can notice when people with low ER, they are stubborn and poor listener. But those people with high emotional intelligence, they are such a good listener. And the last one is those people with low emotional intelligence are critical, picky, fussy, and hard to please, and also perfectionistic. Note that this one, perfectionist, doesn't mean that you are always on the low emotional intelligence, but we might sometimes feel that when we tend to perfectionism, we actually drain our energy too much, that really can affect in many aspects in our lives. And those people with high emotional intelligence, they are detailed, careful, meticulous, systematic, and also neat. So from the slide on here, you can clearly see the difference and why is it really important to hone our emotional intelligence and why it's really important to uncover it. And in the leadership, maybe you might have heard so many times before that those people who work in leadership positions, they need to have high emotional intelligence. Here's the way, because people or the leaders with high EQ, they create a low stress work environment. But those leaders with low EQ, they create a stressful work environment. Maybe you might feel like, okay, some bosses or maybe some colleagues and so on feel like they are creating a stressful work environment at your workplace. Then let's say it's safe to say they probably might have low EQ. And then those people or those leaders with high EQ, they able to find solutions quickly. And those leaders with low EQ, they are poor communication flow, and it causes them impulsive and unable to deal with stressful and unexpected events. And on the opposite, those leaders with high EQ, they can really able to find solution quickly compared to those leaders with low EQ, and they can communicate easily even the unpredictable situation, because yeah, they have a good social skills as well, and which is related to the communication skill. And those leaders with high EQ, they are assertive and supportive. And on the other hand, those leaders with low EQ, they are don't value different perspective. That's why on the previous slide there is something, or there's a word that I put like stubborn, right? So they're stubborn enough, they don't want to value another opinions or perspective. They only want to, okay, my opinions are the best, my perspective are the best as well. And they're also unsupportive. So it's kind of stressful enough to work with people with low EQ. Okay, so if we talk about emotional intelligence, I think it's really important to talk about the key elements, especially from Daniel Goleman's theory. So according to the Daniel Goleman theory, there are 5 components of EQ. First is self-awareness, second is self-regulation, third is motivation, fourth is empathy, and the last one is social skills. So what is actually self-awareness? It is recognizing your own emotions, strengths, weaknesses, and understanding the impact it has on others as well. So it's not only recognizing your emotions, but also understanding that what you're feeling or your emotions can bring the impacts to another people. And also it relates to confidence in yourself and aware of how others perceive you. Okay, because I know like many students might hear us right now. So I put the example for the students. Maybe you heard that a friend made fun of you in a math class. So with the self-awareness, it can help you recognize that you feel hurt and sad. Okay, and you can ask yourself, how do I feel about this? But mostly I think people can really feel if something really hurt them or maybe make someone else sad in this case. Next is self-regulation. So it's the ability to regulating, managing, and expressing your emotions appropriately, also being flexible, adapt well to change, good at managing conflict and take responsibility for their actions. So, for example, this example is still linked to the first example. So you decide what you want to do when your friend made fun of you. It can be confront, ignore, or get mad at your friend. And you can think possible outcomes of each. You can also ask yourself such a question like, given how I feel, how should I react? Right? Because yeah, it's better if you have to consider yourself how you're going to react rather than directly jump into the confrontation. Next is self-motivation. Okay, so it's driven by internal rewards. So when we talk about motivation in emotional intelligence, it's kind of like intrinsic motivation. So it seeks a challenge and have a passion for achieving your own goals and always look for ways to grow, like learn and show perseverance during difficult situations. So it's not something, or it's not the kind of motivation that you get by seeing or by motivating just because you see social media someone get fame or maybe they get more money because of certain conditions or positions. So the self-motivation that we need in here is kind of intrinsic motivation. For example, even though you are nervous about your confrontation, this is still the same case, like your friend made fun of you in math class. Even though you are nervous about your confrontation, you decide to ask directly to your friend about your heart feeling after they made fun of you. So you can ask yourself, regardless of how I feel, I need to. Maybe you can confront them. Maybe you can be silent. Maybe you can simply just ignore it. This is your decision. Actually, you can do whatever you want. Next is empathy. So empathy is understand how others are feeling and take an interest in their concern. And the more we can relate to others, the better we will be at understanding what motivates or upset them. Like, how can we understand them if we don't put our shoes on them? Right? We only can have the same understanding with them if we put ourselves like them. So for example, you talk to your friend who apologized for making fun of you, and you recognize that your friend feels bad and talk calmly about what happened. So you can say to yourself, I know how you are feeling. You are not going to hold grudge. You are not going to take revenge after that. You are not going to think negatively, like maybe, she or he is going to do the same thing next day. So when you have empathy, even when someone do something kind of bad like that, you can say it to yourself that you know how they're feeling, as long as they are really say to yourself, not kind of the assumptions that you make. Okay, maybe they didn't do that on purpose. Because when you keep someone do kind of things like that without their concern, it can be toxic environment for you. So now, after we know about the elements, and the last one is social skills, we are going to talk uncovering emotional intelligence. So AI is important and can impact how fruitful we are in our connections and vocations. It's not only going to talk about our workplace or our school and so on, but it can, let's say, related to even your connection with your neighborhoods. So whatever path of life you are at, you can utilize the 7 basic strides underneath to enhance your emotional intelligence and build up your mindfulness and compassion. So first, work on observing how you feel. Like I have explained about the self-awareness, because so at whatever point of time we have an emotional response to something. So we are accepting the information about a specific circumstances, individual or occasion. So the response we experience may be because of the present circumstances, or the circumstances pushes us to remember an exclusive think memory. So when we focus on how we are feeling, we figure out how to believe our own emotions, and we get to be much more skilled at managing our emotions. And in case you are learning about the practice, attempt the accompanying activity along as well. So let's say you know that you actually kind of not sensitive enough. You don't recognize how is your feeling. You don't try to observing your feeling much actually. And even if you are a sensitive person enough, you also have to work to observe your own feeling. Whether, because yeah, what I want to say in here is not all the thing on your mind is correct. And when we talk about feel, we have to remember about the cognitive thinking cycle, because yeah, cognitive thinking cycle, it's really related to the feeling, because our mind drives our feeling, and then our feelings drives our actions, and that actions drives the result for us. So let's say when we talk about observing how our feeling, it must be something like we have to recognizing our own thought first, because that thought is going to drive our feeling in the first place. So you have to be mindful enough on your thought, and don't forget, be always kind to your mind. And then second is notice your own behavior. So while you're following and practicing your emotional mindfulness, focus on your conduct as well. See how you act when you are encountering your definitive feelings, and how that influence your everyday life. So does it really affect your correspondence with others, your efficiency, or your general feeling or prosperity? So when we turn out to be more aware of how we are responding to our feelings, it's anything but difficult to slip into judgment mode and begin joining names to our conduct. So attempt to abstain from doing that right now, as you will be much more inclined to be straightforward with yourself in case you're not judging yourself in the meantime. So you have to notice, like when you start to be someone who get a mindfulness enough, you be really mindful for what you're feeling, what you're doing. You notice the differences and also your reactions towards certain situations. And when you do really do that, you can really start to analyze yourself, your behaviors, and your actions as well. Next is take responsibility of your feelings and behaviors. Like the previous slide, like I gave the example, when someone made fun of you and you try to confront, even when you decided to confront them, there must be a responsibility that you have to be carry on after that. So this is likely the most difficult stride, and it's likewise the most supportive as well. So your feelings and conduct originate from you and not any other person. Remember, your feeling is yours. It's a package, full package, 100% yours. Okay. So accordingly, you are the person who is in charge of them. In the event that you feel hurt in light of something somebody say or does, or maybe somebody did or have done to you, and you let out of them, you are in charge of them. So even if you're comfort of something, you really full, you have the full responsibility of it. So they didn't make you lash out. Even when you decide to lash out something or freak out about something, remember that those people didn't make you lash out. They didn't control your reaction, and your response is undoubtedly your duty. So remember that your reaction is always 100% on your control. So whatever you are feeling, you can always confront something. You can always be silent. You can always freeze, or whatever you want to do. It's always on your charge, or it's always on your control. But even when you do certain things to, let's say, defend yourself, you have to remember that those people maybe have done something that you didn't want to see or get. But remember that your reaction is your full responsibility. So similarly, your sentiments can give your proper information about your experience and understanding of other individual as well. And in addition, your own particular needs and inclinations, but still your emotions are not someone else's dirty. So when you begin tolerating the study, regardless of how you feel and how you carry on, this will positively affect all aspects of your life. That's why it doesn't always mean like you have to react or get angry or get mad over the situation that you might feel like it's not benefits for you or it's not good for you, because actually while you are doing it, you are draining your own energy, right? So with the 5 elements of EI, what actually is the strongest element that you already have, and what is your weakness element that you need to improve? Maybe you got some ideas like, I think I have lack of self-awareness, or I think I have lack of self-motivations, or I do really have high social skills. I'm not going to talk about social skill much here, because in the next slide I'm going to talk about it. So let's say you are actually job. Let's take a quick test. I mean, you can really measure with a simple quick question. So first, there are 8 questions in here. So if the answer to any of the following question is no, it means you have low EQ and need to improve it. Remember, EQ is not something that you were born with it. It means like even if you feel like you have a low EQ, you can always try to improve it. Okay, don't be worried about that. As long as you always want to improve it, then it will be fine. First, are you usually aware of how people around you are feeling? Second, are you good at picking up on body language signals? Sorry, there was typo in here. Third, is it uncommon for you to have negative feelings about yourself and others? Is it uncommon for you to come up emotionally under pressure? Or do you know how to effectively manage stress? And are you able to connect with a variety of people with similar and different interests? Or do you find it manageable to stay motivated to achieve tasks and goals in life? Or the last one, is it rare for you to feel like the outsider, like other people don't get you? Okay, so this is just such a prompt question. Actually, is not going to define who you are or what kind of the level you are having right now. Always remember, this is just a prompt questions, and if you if your answer mostly no, it means that you need to improve it. Okay, there's something that you need to improve it. So there are some ways that you can do to raise up or to make your self can be more beneficial, get more advantage of work at work, and also can be more confidence and comfortable at work. So if you want to overcome the hundreds of low EQ in your workplace, here are 5 tips, simple, that you can always do. First, this is related to the 5 components by Daniel Goleman. So first, you have to enhance your self-awareness. So people with a firm sense of self-awareness are mostly realistic about their personality with a higher level of confidence. Hence, they can make fun of themselves without letting go their self-worth. So those people with a high self-awareness, maybe even if they make a joke for themselves, they might sound silly, but actually they still have boundaries. They still know what's the limit that they want to make a joke for themselves. So you can always try to improve your self-awareness by practice to observe the source and influence of emotions in your daily life. Don't indulge in letting your emotion take control of your decision making and communicating capabilities. So the brief emotional outbursts may not result as a pro for you. Remember, like we always agree, I think mostly people really understand that it's not good to make any decision while we are not in a full awareness about something. Let's say it's not a good practice, or it's not a good deal if we make a decision while we are get angry, right? And then next is try to defeat the negative emotions when dealing with superiors and equals as well. This means like those people who feels like superior or maybe equals with yourself. So it is not harmful to acknowledge your repercussions in front of others. And it's not suggested that you should suppress your emotion completely, but managing them can lead to a balanced attitude in the workplace. So it means like you really have to get full control of your emotions and don't react too much or react too fast when you face something. Next is you are able to judge your own strengths and weakness, and the best way is the best way possible. Like you always know yourself. You should make sure that you are the one who know yourself most than others. So you know your strengths, you know your weakness as well. So play the past performance in your mind to look at for any rookie behavioral mistakes in front of others. I mean, like if you did something, maybe even if there is something you didn't want to remember, at least if you want to really improve yourself in the workplace, you do really have to such a playback what actually that events, and then ask yourself, observe it again, even though maybe you are not comfortable doing it in front of others, then it's fine, you can do it, just simply write it down things and recall your memories again what happened before. So next is gain rewind self-regulation. So people with positive self-regulation achieve to be trustworthy towards colleagues, clients, and higher authorities. So they can easily adapt according to situation and accept the uncertain future after taking a decision. So these people generally avoid the fast decision and are quite likely to bypass any impulsive and unfortunate action. Like I have said, don't make any decision while you are not fully aware about certain circumstances, especially when you feel like you are under pressure. So you can always try to do self-regulatory measures. First, when complex and emotionally influenced situations arrive, avoid taking prompt action, which means don't react too fast, right? Next, stay as far as possible from office politics or other conflicts, because this will help in saving your professionalism and self-integrity. Like when someone else talk about some kind of politics stuff, which is really maybe too personal for several people at your workplace, then it's better to avoid it, because when you get involved in it, sooner or later, realize it or not realize it, you might get involved in something you actually don't want to get involved. Next is irrespective of the organization you are working with. So you have to be the victim of the stress, frustration, and anxiety. And instead of acting out or complaining about your situation all the time, try to cope with the situation and resolve issues on your own. Maybe like there is something bad happen at your workplace, and instead of complaining and get the things you want, like maybe yelling or maybe get angry to the higher level executive and so on, it's better to cope with yourself. Maybe you need to address it or communicate what you want or what you need to your colleague or with your partners at work, but it doesn't always mean that you can really feel calm just after those people fix something. Let's try to cope it with yourself first. So even though those people cannot deal with or cannot fix something that you deep down inside your heart really feels like they need to fix it, then you can always continue whatever you are having. Because when we only rely ourselves on wanting those people to fix something for us, then we are not going to get anywhere. Next is find ways to be calm in the professional field and release stress through activities such as exercise and meditation. So don't allow your emotional imbalance to take control of your life and personality. Like, okay, when you feel like stress, actually, maybe You can try to do simple 5 minutes or 10 minutes meditation, or if you feel like you got so much rumination on your mind, then you can simple just watch a dance video on YouTube, for example, and then you can simple move your body. As long as you try to do some kind of physical activities, it actually can switch your mind to be more relaxed. It's not always about a full cardio workout and so on. You can always simple just watch a dance video and you can move your body. Maybe you get some sweat and you can continue it and feel fresh after that. Okay, so don't make something too complicated when we talk about our switch mind with some kind of the physical activities. Third is boost your motivation. So motivation is such a component which helps in driving your inner being filled with enthusiasm and passion. So as you keep yourself motivated and ignore the negative thoughts, your productivity is bound to exit beyond your imaginations. Like, when we lack of motivation, okay, I'm not going to go to work. I'm not going to do kind of any innovative work. I'm not going to do kind of great things at work because yeah, maybe I'm too lazy or I'm lack of energy for doing it. But when you have a great motivation, then you are always want to do the best for your job, to be the best version of yourself at your workplace. So there are some tips that you can follow for staying motivated. First, there are some long-term prospect and advantage in your job about which you are not still aware of it. So if there are some segments of your job responsibility which you don't favor, try to accept those discomforts for the sake of benefiting yourself in the near future. So stay focused on your goal and try to block the negative aspects of your immediate issue. So let's say, let's get out of your comfort zone. It's not always be all your favor 24/7, and you can always try to do something new even though maybe you don't like it, but you can always try to seek the improvement in yourself, and then you can always try to do something new in order to be more motivated. Okay, and then second, never lose hope for your prospective future. At first you might think that this practice is never possible when you are frustrated or agitated, but you should know that hope, our optimism, is going to drag you out of any hard times. And the third is sometimes people tend to be inefficient as they lack in a sense of responsibility. Like, think of what you have still to achieve so that your inspiration is always driven towards achieving them. So when you set large goals, for example, it's quite obvious that your motivation will give your fruitful result on a regular basis too. Last one is change each and every negation into a positive vibe. You can inspire others to get motivated if you are set on the right page yourself. Remember, being a person who really have a high motivation is likely get in charge to bring or raise awareness for another people, to bring them into some level of high level of motivation as well. So when you're trying to develop a really good motivation for yourself and another people see that in yourself and they might want to follow it, and when you are having some kind of tribe or some kind of people that really want to do the same thing with you, it will be great, right? When you work something in a good maybe contribution or with the good people that you are really like, then anything is possible to achieve. Fourth, become capable of empathizing generally. So as the empathy is one of elements in emotional intelligence, you do really have to become capable of empathizing generally. So a person true ability to get through other professionals and respond with integrity in the time of need is the ability to show empathy towards them. So treating people respectfully and professionally doesn't require any special training. Okay, so an employee who has the ability to feel for others can avoid stereotyping others, and judge others quickly. Remember, treating people respectfully and professionally doesn't require any special training. Okay, because that's the kind of kindness. What you need to do, or what you need to develop of being empathy, is the way you do that. Actually, you already have that kind of empathy yourself. You just need to harness it. You just need to even shape or develop it because you were born with it actually, and you have that. We all have that kind of empathy. It's only a matter of whether you really want to work on it or not. So to improve your empathy skills, you can try to put yourself in other situations and evaluate accordingly. This way, you can easily keep away from conflict. So when putting yourself in other situation, you can actually validate their point of view and judge who is actually right or wrong. Even in the situation when you actually don't want to make a kind of judgment, whether yes or no, whether right or wrong, when you put yourself on another people's shoes, you can actually feel at least how they are feeling. So it's not always going to be yes or no, right or wrong. At least you can know exactly, let's say not 100% clear same, but at least you can know how they are feeling and what caused them to feel that or to do certain thing. So there's nothing shameful about admitting repentance on doing or saying anything unworthy. So if you don't have any wrong intention, but still things are not improving, it is the best that you check your attitude towards other people. Maybe the way you are putting things in front of others is giving them the wrong feel. Okay, maybe I'm doing well, I'm doing really great personally, but we don't know. Like maybe those things like hurting another person, or maybe those things are really not comfortable for another person. Remember, it's like it seems like you got some bruises on your shoulder, and then when you got that bruises, suddenly your friends come and then just simple touch you and you feel like, oh, it's hard, and those person or those people don't know actually that you got bruises, but when they touch it, you feel hard, right? But when they cannot see that bruise, they don't know, but you do really feel it, right? So it seems like when you don't try to put empathy on other people's feelings or maybe reaction on certain situations, you actually have to recognize it, because we don't know what they have been through. We don't know what just happened even for a few seconds ago. So we do really have to remember about it, and then try to listen to your colleagues and respond to them elaborately, instead of giving short or brief replies. Like I have said, don't give fast reactions, or don't give fast too much response. So because this will avoid the change for them to think that you are avoiding them by any means. Some people maybe wants to take some time to be heard. Okay, maybe they want you to listen several minutes and before jump to into your conclusion. So the ideal way for resolving any sympathetic or any empathetic is to treat others precisely the way you want to be treated. Okay, so okay, if you want to get treat A, B, C, D, it doesn't make sense if you treat other people E, F, G, H. Okay, so if you want to get A, B, C, you have to do A, B, C, because you get what you give. That's the law of nature, right? Don't expect another person is going to do the same exactly thing unless you're doing it, because in fact when we do it, when we do kind of good thing, it's not always 100% getting back to us. So make sure that what you're giving to another person is something that has kindness or positive things, so it's really going to be back to you in the good time. Next is improve your socializing skills. So social skills is the last components of the Daniel Goleman's theory. So as a professional, socializing skills let you manage relationship with your college and build a network with new people. and you can initiate new bonds with others in and out of the office premises. So this skill will not only assist you in leading your team, but it will also change and improve the productivity of the team members. So they will feel motivated to dedicate themselves through hard work and enthusiasm. Because imagine like if you have leaders, if you have boss or your college, they don't know how to be social enough. They only want to sit down on the chair at the workplace 9 hours or 8 hours, and they didn't really build such a friendly environment at work. Then it's really going to be stressful, and people will likely feel like, okay, I want to finish the office time soon, as soon as possible, because they are not comfortable. But if you have a good social skills and you make the connection, you make a good bond at the workplace, then people are going to comfortable. Of course, they will not want to stay 24 hours at the office, but at least when they are at the office, they are comfortable because you have a good social skill. So there are ways to improve your social skill. First, don't become a speaker all the time. Instead, try to become a listener and take an account of what others are trying to convey. When needed, be a polite speaker, even if you wish to rebuke and accuse somebody for any mistake. Second, the real art of persuading others lie in the secret of making connections. So while others feel that they are much close to you, they get the urge to become equally successful and work hard for that. So that's why it's really important to be okay. She's my best friend, or maybe I think she is really someone that really helped me during my days at the work. So I do really want to make a goal in this project, or I do really want to make a great achievement for this project. So when you are working with someone that has a good connection with you at the workplace, you are going to do your best, right? But let's say when you don't work with some colleagues that you don't like, you might feel like you are not supposed to be on that project, and you end up not fully giving the best version of yourself. Because again, I'm reminding all of you that we have to consider our cognitive thinking cycle. Like our thought drives our feelings, and our feelings drive the actions, and it affects the result as well. So professional tone, both in written and verbal communication, is essential for any team leader. Okay, even though they are close enough, it's really important to still use the professional tone, so it's not going to get involved any kind of drama at the workplace. And then next is try to gain trust from the people working under you. So this practice give them the confidence to come to you in any need and not to hide or avoid the issue. Okay, because sometimes when some people don't feel enough trust with the leader, or maybe feel like the leader is too much superior, they don't even want to address their problem. They even really want to avoid to communicate what actually going on their mind. But if you have kind of good social skills, then people are going to come to you and talk to you normally, or talk to you open, because yeah, they feel comfortable talking to you. And the last one is people working with you are not all of the same nature. So while you communicate with an individual, it's very important that you understand his or her personality well. So you will get the benefit of handling them in a unique way through these skills. Remember, we all are unique human beings. We might come from different backgrounds as well. So it's not always going to be the same when we treat another person as well. What we need to be equal is always treat people politely and with kindness, but that treatment is always going to be unique. It's not going to be the same all the time with all the people around us. So if we talk about the emotional intelligence, we do really have to get kind of growth mindset. So there are 5 questions to develop a growth mindset. First, what did you learn from today's performance? You do really have to observe it and evaluate what you have done. And the next is, what step did you take to make you successful today? Okay, and then what are some different strategies you could have used? Maybe you missed the deadline and you could try to do some kind of other strategies. And then how did you keep going when things got tough? Okay, you at this point, you still have to motivate it yourself. And this one is really needed to be get into the intrinsic motivation. And the last one is, what can you learn from your opponent today? This is not the, this is doesn't mean like the rival at the world. At least I could say in here, like, what other people can achieve today. You can try to make a healthy comparison. Remember, when you try to be a better or the best version of yourself, it's really nice enough if you can see what others successful or achieve at the specific time, and you can always try to use it and take it as your feedback silent. I mean, like, you motivate yourself and you observe it in silent, and you write down things like what other people achieve and what kind of the things that you still need to improve. Next is 5 feedback comments to develop a growth mindset. So when you want to develop a growth mindset, you do really have to be an honest person, but of course you don't want to hurt other people's feelings just because you give them feedback. Okay, you can always be honest, and you can always be honest and kindness at the same time. So you have to be a person who is going to give a feedback with a positive impact, not someone who is going to give feedback just with intention to destroy or to make guilt of themselves. First, you can say something like, this will be a challenging concept to learn, but I believe you can master it. Next, you haven't got it yet, but you will if you keep working and thinking about it. And then third is, I really appreciated your effort today. Okay. And the fourth is, it is okay to take risks. That's how we learn. Last one is, getting better takes time and I see you improving. Remember, the last one is really tricky one. What happened this day is that many people only want to get instant result. They only want a major change in something, a major improvement on something, and they didn't notice a small improvement. That's why leaders really need to have a high EQ so they can notice the small things and still encourage those people who are working with them. So like I have said in the previous slide, it's better that we are not going to make any fast decisions, especially when we are angry or sad, because we have to work on responding rather than reacting. So there is an imprecise yet vital distinction amongst reacting and responding. So responding is an obvious procedure where we encounter emotional trigger and carry on in any oblivious way that communicates or suits that feeling. For instance, feeling chafe and snapping at the individual who has quite recently intruded on you. So reacting is being aware and knowing how you feel, then choosing how you need to carry on with the reaction you are about to depict. For instance, feeling better, disclosing to the individual how you feel, why this is not a decent time to interfere with you when things might better, and many more. So remember, you don't always have to react directly or even a second after something happened, even if it happened right in front of your eyes. Okay, this is the difference between reaction and response. Reactions, an immediate and emotional replay, while response is you evaluate the situation and slow down. You take time to calm down yourself, because when you are in emotional level state of mind, you can't actually think properly. Next is all about self-preservation. Okay, and the response is maintain self-control. Okay, you know what you're feeling and you do really know that you have full power on your self-control. And reaction comes from a place of fear, because you might feel, okay, let's say, let's this example, someone confront of you that you are doing a mistake, and because you are fear of judgment, you fear that maybe another person is knowing that you made a mistake, so you are react directly. You react directly with the anger includes with it, and you want to defend yourself. But what happened in here is that if you try to give a response, it really comes from a place of love and respect. It means that you want to admit what you are doing, even though if it's wrong, you can admit and you can try to put yourself into an improvement. Next reaction is short-term outlook, and the response is long-term outlook. So when you feel like you're angry, sad, and you really need to make a quick decision about something, choose to pause, breathe, and respond instead of react in second directly right after another person did something or said something to you. So when we talk about the reacting and respond, is actually really close to some kind of criticism, okay? Because we mostly react to criticism, right? So you can follow these 6 steps to deal with criticism. First, consider the source. Do you value the criticizer's opinion? Does this person have a pattern of being helpful or hurtful? This is really need to be remembered. I mean, like some people really kind of people who really want to give a hurtful opinion with a bad intention, but other people might want to give you a really good helpful opinion, even though it sounds a little bit bitter. But you do really have to check on pattern. Okay, maybe this person is saying something that you don't want to hear right now, but in the past that person actually, so you can consider that person. But if that person or the specific person is only have a bad track, why do you have to consider it? Okay, because it's only give you stress. Second, like kind of criticism is it? Some criticism are constructive, and constructive criticism is not a personal attack. Okay, and then if you feel like there must be something that you need to improve or develop for the kind of opinions that your friend or colleagues say to you, then it can be really obvious that actually it's a constructive criticism. It's not something that wants to destroy you or make you feel guilty. They just want you to improve. Okay, next is have an attitude of growth. So be open to learning and changing instead of focusing on the negative. Take this as an opportunity for self-improvement. We all are not perfect, and we are not going to be the perfectionists, because yeah, it takes so much energy to be perfectionist, and it might cause some troubles as well at the same time. So as long as you have an attitude of growth, it doesn't always have to be perfect. As long as you are open to learning something new, you are open to the challenging and changing something into in order to be the best version of yourself, then I think this kind of criticism can be constructive. It depends on how you can view it. Next is let go of what doesn't feel true and don't take it personally. If the criticism really doesn't feel valid, shift your focus, because not all criticism is really about you. It may be a projection of someone else's insecurity, jealousy, or unhappiness. This is when kind of people really tend to give a hurtful opinions, because yeah, maybe they just want to project us as their subject of their insecurity or of their jealousy or of their unhappiness. And we do really have to be mindful enough for this kind of criticism. And remember, what we have to remember and put on our mind is whatever kind of the criticism that people are going to throw at you at all any kind of given situation, it's not going to define yourself. Okay, remember all your words are sincere, you are living in this world. And one sentence or one word is not going to define yourself. You can always remember that even if it needs improvement, you can always work on it. Okay. Five is feel your feelings. Allow yourself to feel hurt or angry. It's not helpful to deny or bury your feelings, because it doesn't mean that I suggest you to feel sad, but it means when you know exactly what you are feeling, you can know how to cope with it. But when you deny or ignore your own feeling, how could even you overcome it? Like when you get bruised and okay, you just ignore it, how can actually you heal it? Do you expect it it's going to disappear just by miracle or something like that? You have to acknowledge your feeling first, allow yourself to feel it. And what we need to remember in here is that we have the regulation, we have the full control of it. Next is show yourself compassion. In addition to feeling those tough feelings, be kind to yourself. Use positive self-talk such as this criticism hurts, but it doesn't define me, like I have said, because we cannot always, we never going to be able to control what other people perceive or going to judge about us. So remember, it's not going to define ourselves. Okay, this is a slight reminder what kind of the things that are in your control. So what you say, what you look at online, what you do, your opinions, yourself, your words, what you do, your actions, what you eat, your self-care, your thoughts, or what kind of the people or who are you or hang out with are in your controls. But what other people think or other actions or what other people say to you is not really on your control. So don't always force yourself to be someone who wants to get control over what other people do or say towards to you, because that's too heavy work to do. It's not on our control. Just make sure that you do really work well for the things that are in your control. So okay, the thing is that we might find or face hard times in our lives. So when the hard times hit despair and disappointment, you can shift your focus of the problem. And you can ask yourself, what can I learn from this? And when you fear about the future, you can maybe think like it could be worse than this. And then you can actually still be grateful. You can think about what are the hidden gifts behind it, because it's not always there's no kind of things that only being negative all the times. Even if bad things happen, there must be a hidden gaps or a hidden gift or positive things behind that. And when you feel anxiety, anger, and depression, there are still some good things going. Okay, so you can ask yourself, how can I get smarter, stronger because of this? Instead of blaming yourself or other people, it's better to ask yourself to observe and evaluate yourself at this time. And then if you feel like contemplate the worst case scenario, you always count your blessings. Maybe you feel like, okay, I feel like so many bad things happen, or maybe okay, I felt so many tough situations in my life. Even if it happens, you can try to count your blessing. You can smile and you can laugh, and that's still a good thing, because when you try to be positive in the hard times, there must be something positive impacts or positive things that are going to get back to you as well, instead of blaming the situation and blaming other people. So this is the 7 things how the greatest people view themselves. First, it's not your job to like me, it's mine. Okay, remember, this is kind of the things that are in our control, not other people. And then second is wanting to be someone else is a waste of the person you are. Don't try to duplicate or just want to be someone else really 100% to be look like a celebrity, for example, or 100% want to be like a specific person. It's really going to waste the real person you are. Third is your time is way too valuable to be wasting on people that cannot accept who you are. Remember that. Let's say you are in the circle of toxic people. If they always confront you with the negative intention, why do you have to stay? Okay, why do you have to stay in that circle? You can always go and find the things that bring peace to you. First is self-improvement without self-love is like building a house upon the sand. You can build and build, but it will always sink. Remember, you cannot, maybe you can take a lesson, you can take training, you can take course and so on about the self-improvement, but you only try to learn something without even recognizing yourself, or let's say you have a lack of self-love. So maybe you always put the kind of new information on your brain, but you actually not kind enough to your brain. So do you expect things are going to be go in your favor if you keep doing it? The answer is it's probably only going to waste of your time. So when you want to do self-improvement, the first thing you need to remember is be kind to yourself. You also have to consider your self-love first. And then next is self-acceptance means living the life you choose to live without worrying what others think about you. It doesn't matter what someone else thinks about you. What matters is what you think about yourself. We live in a digital age where we have witnessed so many things on social media. We might compare our lives with other people's lives as well. And maybe you posted something online and people gave bad comments or bad reaction toward what you posted online. And remember that their thoughts or their opinions actually is not going to define you, and it doesn't matter. What most matter is the way you think about yourself, because you are supposed to be the first fan or supporter of yourself. Okay. 6, the worst loneliness is to not to be comfortable with yourself. So you have to make sure that you put self-love enough so you are comfortable with yourself. The last one is the hunger for attention is an enemy of self-love. So when you really want to be a person who seek attention too much, it's actually going to put you in the low self-love, because when you feel like, or when you are at the state of self-love, you know that you got that enough attention, you are blessing enough for the things that you are having around you, so you are not seeking too much attention from the outsider, from the external circumstances. So this is the quote from Daniel Goldman. So if your emotional abilities are not in hand, if you don't have self-awareness, if you are not able to manage your distressing emotions, if you cannot have empathy and have effective relationship, then no matter how smart you are not going to get very far. Okay, I hope all of you can remember these points. No matter how high your IQ, if you have low EQ, you even cannot be the best version of yourself. Remember, even though you are really smart, you have a high IQ, you cannot be a leader, because leaders need really the emotional intelligence skills. They really need to have a high EQ in order to manage, in order to lead another people under them. So remember, if you want to be success in your life, and you have to maintain your emotional intelligence. So to conclude my presentation for today is EI, or emotional intelligence, is a lifetime process. Always remember it. So emotional intelligence is not something you grow into yourself and then drop. It's a lifetime practice, and it's conceivable to continue making strides. So notwithstanding when you have a feeling that you have aged, this means So always continue your practice and you will receive the rewards of emotional intelligence forever. Remember, it's not going to change overnight. You do really need practice and you do really have to build and improve it in a long life pattern. So thank you so much for listening. I hope in today's session you all can get some takeaways that can be beneficial for you and your future. Thank you so much for listening.